My family faked my brother dying to get money from me, and it blew up in a jail visitation room. Reddit stories. A midnight call turned me into a villain overnight, while lies spread faster than facts. What surfaced behind locked doors rewrote everything they thought they controlled. Hi, I'm Nolan, 32, and 3 weeks ago my entire family tried to turn me into an ATM with a pulse, a PR villain, and a walking life or death wallet, only to watch the whole thing detonate in their hands like a cheap firework someone lit indoors. The final explosion? Yeah, that happened in a beige visitation room with flickering fluorescent lights, a counselor drinking cold coffee, and my brother, my actual brother, handing me a stack of evidence that could legally bury my sister. But before we get there, you need the opening shot that set this whole story on fire. At 1:17 a.m., I woke up to my phone vibrating like it was trying to escape the nightstand. When I groggily blinked at the screen, I saw a message from my brother Jace, the human financial sinkhole. Hope you die alone, you pathetic loser. Cool. Inspirational. A hallmark moment. I rolled over, fully prepared to choose sleep over emotional terrorism, until my phone lit up again, this time with my parents' number. I answered and immediately regretted every decision that led me to owning a phone. Your brother's dying. My mom shrieked. Internal bleeding, ribs crushed, lung collapsed, he's coding every 5 minutes, send $15,000 now or he won't make it till morning. My dad grabbed the phone, claiming he was literally watching Jay's flatline in real time. He gave me a number, $5,000 for the casino debt, $10,000 for the surgery. And then he delivered the line of the century. He asked for you with his last conscious breath. This man had told me 10 hours earlier that I was a disappointment with a salary. So I sat up, turned on the lamp, wrote everything they said on a notepad, listened to the hysteria, and then said 6 words that apparently qualified me for the title of Family Antichrist. Call your perfect little princess. Click. Look, I'm not a monster. Even I wouldn't let my brother actually die over money. So I called the hospital myself, since I'd been the emergency contact for years. The nurse, in a perfectly calm voice, said, "He's stable. Fair condition. No collapsed lung. No internal bleeding. No life support. He'll probably be discharged tomorrow. Stable. Not dying." My family had fabricated a medical emergency so compelling it belonged in a Grey's Anatomy finale, all to get $15,000 out of me while they were in Lake Tahoe living like they'd won the Powerball. I powered my phone down, lay in the dark, and waited for the guilt that usually choked me. It never came. Not a drop. For the first time in my entire life, I felt something close to weightless. I slept like a man who finally crawled out of his own grave. The next morning, when I turned my phone back on, it detonated. 61 missed calls. 100+ texts. A TikTok from Savannah blaming me for letting my brother die on life support, tagged with my full name, my company, and my city. Photos of Jace in the ER, staged like a low-budget medical drama. A GoFundMe claiming he was brain dead. Relatives calling me soulless. Friends from high school messaging, "Is this true?" None of them knew the truth. The only thing life-threatening was my family's spending habits. And what came next made the ER lie look like a warm-up act. Because the casino called. And then the hospital. And then law enforcement. And then my dad again, this time confessing they'd mortgaged the house twice, drained everything, and wanted me to take out a $100,000 personal loan to save them from homelessness and Jace from prison. But the real turning point? The nuclear button? That happened during a supervised visit with Jace, in county jail, after he slid an affidavit across the table accusing someone I never imagined of being the puppeteer behind every lie they told. And I walked out with proof. Now I have 48 hours to decide whether to save him, destroy her, both, or neither. The woman at the front desk of the detention center had the expression of someone who'd seen absolutely everything and refused to be impressed by any of it. She buzzed me in without looking up from her crossword puzzle. A guard led me down a hallway that smelled like bleach and regret, into a visitation room with walls the color of old oatmeal. A metal table was bolted to the floor. A counselor sat in the corner, sipping coffee with the quiet resignation of someone who'd learned to emotionally detach for survival. Then Jace walked in. Orange jumpsuit, hair greasy, face sunken, eyes that looked both exhausted and way too clear. Jail had stripped the performance out of him. No swagger, no bravado, no smirk that said someone else would clean this up. Just my brother. He sat across from me and didn't even attempt to smile. Didn't open with "Hey man" or "Thanks for coming" or even a sarcastic "So how's Denver?" He slid a stapled packet across the table. "I signed this already," he said. Voice flat, drained. "It's a sworn statement for the DA. Everything I did. Everything Save planned. Everything Mom and Dad covered up. All of it." I lifted the first page and felt my stomach drop through the floor. He detailed every step of the attempted credit fraud, how he used my old Denver address, how Savannah coached him on what to write, how she walked him through faking supporting documents. He confessed to the whole TikTok smear campaign. The ER stunt. The timeline. The coordination. He put it in writing. Not for my sake. Not because he'd suddenly developed morals. Because he was sinking, and he finally realized who handed him the anchor. And then he pulled out a folder. A thick one. Full of screenshots, transcripts, timestamps. Messages from Savannah going back months. Plans. Strategies. Checklists. Drafts of captions. She didn't panic create the smear campaign after things went sideways. She storyboarded it like a film director. Every angle. Every emotional beat. Every manipulation. A message from her to Jace 3 weeks before Tahoe. "If we push the dying angle hard enough, he'll pay instantly. He always does." Use medical words. Serious ones. Life support hits better than broken ribs. Next one. Tag his employer. Make it about who he is, not the money. Shame works faster than guilt. Another, dated the night before they flew out. "If the casino thing flops, we pivot to a GoFundMe. Needs to look urgent. Have Mom cry. Dad guilt trip. I'll edit the video." And then the one that made the room tilt. "Dad said Nolan's old info is still in the files. Use that on the application. By the time he notices, he'll pay to avoid charges like always." I stared at the screen. At my name in her handwriting. At proof she planned every moment of my public execution. The counselor in the corner paused her writing to look up, like even she couldn't pretend this was standard family drama anymore. Jace rubbed his face with both hands. "I'm not proud of any of it," he said. But she didn't just want the money. She wanted to build a platform. A narrative. You were supposed to be the villain that launched her career. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "She used you for content?" I asked. "She used everyone for content," he said. "You were the big bad brother. I was the tragic addict hero who needed rescuing. Mom was the crying mother. Dad the stoic father. She had roles for us. Scripts. If I hadn't ended up in here, she'd still be posting." He slid another paper over. An affidavit naming Savannah as a co-conspirator. Detailed. Organized. Notarized. Signed yesterday. Jace exhaled. "I'm giving all this to the DA. Full cooperation." He said it could reduce my sentence. "But that's not why I wanted you to see it." Then he slid the final sheet across. A blank promissory note. "Rehab costs $8,000, he said. "State won't cover it. I'm not asking for cash. You'd pay the center directly. I'll sign any repayment plan. Wage garnishment, whatever. You can destroy Savannah with what I gave you. I won't fight it. Just help me get clean." The room went quiet. Thick. Heavy. Hot. For the first time in my life, Jace wasn't asking for money. He was asking for structure. But he was also bargaining with dynamite. The perfect little content princess? She was the architect of everything. I leaned back, staring at the pile of evidence, pages that could dismantle my sister's online persona, her reputation, her life. And Jace, for the first time, wasn't smirking, or begging, or lying. He looked terrified. I closed the folder. I'll think about it. I stood. The counselor nodded. Jace didn't argue. Didn't reach for me. Didn't ask again. Fair enough, he said quietly. As I walked out, the guard buzzed me into a hallway. The air felt different. Heavy enough to bend. Light enough to float. 3 choices waited outside those locked doors. Every one of them had a cost. But only one felt like freedom. I sat in my truck in the parking lot of the detention center, hands on the steering wheel, staring at the folder on the passenger seat like it was radioactive. Because it was. Inside that folder was the clearest crossroads I'd ever been handed in my life. 3 paths, each one messier than the last. Option A: pay for Jace's rehab. Cooperate with the DA. Help him stabilize his life while handing over the evidence that could atomize Savannah's. Become the responsible one again. The fixer. The family's safety net in nicer packaging. Option B: don't pay a single cent. Let Jace finish wrecking himself. Still hand the evidence to the DA. Drop Savannah into the crater she dug with her own manicured hands. Become judge, jury, and the vengeance arc she storyboarded herself right out of. Option C: pay for rehab. Don't prosecute Savannah. Keep the moral high ground while letting both of them reap what they sow, slowly, painfully, publicly. But really it boiled down to this. Did I want justice? Or did I want revenge? Neither felt clean. Both felt earned. I drove home on autopilot, barely seeing the road, my brain looping through everything Jace had said in that fluorescent purgatory. His voice kept echoing. She had roles for us. Scripts. You were the villain that launched her brand. And the worst part? He wasn't wrong. Because the moment Savannah hit upload on that TikTok, the internet ate it up in minutes. A heartless older brother. A dying sibling. A family begging. A $15,000 price tag on humanity. People practically salivated over the narrative. She knew exactly what she was doing. When I got home, I spread every page of evidence across my kitchen island. Like a crime board, but without the red string, because the connections were already crystal clear. Savannah's careful planning. Her knowing participation in the fraud. Her doxing campaign. The way she primed the family group chats beforehand. Her drafted statement, framing me as a conspirator in case Jace got caught. Her handwriting curling around my name like it owned me. It wasn't panic. It was premeditation. For clicks. For sympathy. For growth metrics. She built an entire social empire around the idea that I was the villain preventing my own family from thriving. And she almost succeeded. I sat on a stool, flipping through the printed messages. One line in particular dug under my skin so deep I could feel my pulse pushing against it. Nolan will crack. He always cracks. Drama is the only language he responds to. I actually laughed. A quiet, humorless sound. Because for 10 years that had been true. But not anymore. My phone buzzed on the counter. A voicemail. From a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was Nevada. I pressed play on speaker. It was my mother. But not the hysterical, manipulative version. Not the venom-coated guilt machine from the night of the fake ER crisis. This voice was flat. Jagged. Exhausted. Nolan, it's your mother. Your father is asleep, so I'm calling, alone. I just wanted you to know Jace told us what he gave you. The documents. The messages Savannah wrote. The evidence. She exhaled, shaky. I didn't know she planned it. I swear on everything. We knew about the credit thing. We didn't know she wanted to make a show out of it. She's already blaming me. Says I ruined her future. Says you're going to destroy her on purpose. Silence. Then, a whisper. She's terrified of you. That caught me off guard. Savannah? Terrified of me? The woman had publicly bashed me, dragged my name through 4 states, weaponized sympathy like a scalpel, yet now she was afraid. Mom kept talking. She's been pacing the house all day saying you're going to take her down. She said you're vindictive? That you always wanted the family to fall apart so you could walk away clean. That line told me everything. Projection. Deflection. A last-ditch attempt to spin the narrative even in private. Mom's voice dropped lower. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm not asking you to help her. I need to know. Are you going to press charges? I said nothing. Voicemail doesn't allow answers. She continued, voice cracking. We already lost the house. Your father is barely functioning. If she goes down next, that's it. No coming back. No more family. Another pause. If you're going to do it, please warn me first. Beep. Voicemail ended. I stood there in my silent kitchen, the mountains glowing orange outside my window, realizing something that hit harder than any fraud attempt or staged hospital photo. For the first time in my life, they were scared of losing me. Not my money. Me. The second realization followed right behind it, colder and sharper. I finally had power. Not revenge power. Not leverage power. Not petty, burn it all down power. The kind of power you get when you stop being the family's oxygen tank. And that scared them more than anything. Even more than prison. Even more than foreclosure. Even more than the truth going public. I reached for the folder again. The affidavit. The messages. The screenshots. Savannah had created the narrative of me as the villain. But now, I held the receipts that showed exactly who the villain actually was. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text. From an unknown number. Hey. This is Garrett. Can we talk? My pulse went still. Jace's friend from Tahoe. The rich one. The one with access. The one who was there the night everything started. I stared at the screen, reading that single sentence over and over. Because whatever Garrett wanted to tell me, this was the moment the story tilted, hard. The turning point. The midpoint detonation. The thing that would force my hand in one direction or another. I opened the message. Then I called him. And the second he answered, my entire plan for how to handle Savannah, Jace, and my family cracked open like a bone under pressure. Garrett answered the phone like a man who'd been rehearsing the conversation in his head for days. Nolan? He said. Voice tight. Controlled. Not the guy from Savannah's Tahoe videos throwing chips like he owned gravity. Thanks for calling back. I wasn't sure you would. I leaned against my kitchen counter. I wasn't sure either. What do you want? He exhaled so long I pictured him sitting in one of those leather bachelor pad chairs with a half-finished whiskey in his hand. I need to tell you something before this gets worse. And it's going to get worse. Not a promising opener. All right, go ahead. He cleared his throat. First, I'm sorry. About all of this. I didn't know the full story. I didn't know you were blindsided. I didn't know Savannah. He stopped. Let me rephrase. I didn't know she was planning, content. That word again. Content. Not fraud. Not manipulation. Not a coordinated family takedown. Content. Savannah really missed her calling. She should have been running PR for supervillains. Garrett continued. Look, I was with Jace and saved the whole Tahoe trip. I paid for the suite, the jet, the dinners. I thought it'd be fun. I didn't know they were broke. They told me you all just like to take family trips in style. I barked a laugh. We're from North Las Vegas. My family thinks, in style, is ordering guac without checking the price. He hesitated. There's more. About the night Jace got hurt. I straightened. Here we go. Garrett's voice dropped, embarrassed. Your brother didn't get jumped by casino security. Surprise, the sky is blue. He wasn't even in a high-stakes room when it happened. He was outside. At the valet ramp. And he wasn't alone. A prickle went up my spine. Meaning what, exactly? He swallowed audibly. I have it on video. Silence. Cold, sharp, absolute silence. I didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Didn't move. Email it, I said. Nolan, I don't want to get dragged into. Email it. 5 seconds of dead air. Then, okay. Sending now. My laptop dinged immediately. One new message. Subject line, Tahoe footage. I opened it. And whether I laughed or swore or simply let my soul temporarily exit my body, I honestly couldn't tell you. All I know is, I watched the 37-second clip 3 times without speaking. Here's what the video showed. Jace, extremely drunk, shirt half open, stumbling around the valet ramp like a malfunctioning marionette. Savannah, filming from behind a pillar, her unmistakable voice whispering, "Go closer, Jace. They won't touch you if you say you're a guest." 2 valet attendants trying to corral him away from the line of Bentleys and Escalades. Jace lunging, actually lunging, at one of them. Missing. Falling face first into a metal railing with the grace of a collapsing scarecrow. Then rolling onto the pavement, clutching his side and screaming like he'd been stabbed. Savannah whispering, "Perfect, perfect, stay down, stay down." The valets calling for medical assistance. Jace moaning dramatically, but still conscious. Savannah zooming in on his ribs. Then she whispered, "This is so good. This is going to work." The video ended. No assault. No life or death struggle. No security brutality. He fell. He fell on himself. He cracked his own ribs like an idiot trying to perform for a camera, and Savannah curated it. I closed my eyes. Garrett was still on the line. "You see why I'm calling you," he said. "They lied to everyone. To me, to the casino, to the hospital, but mostly to you. And after what Save posted, I had to do something. She's not stopping, Nolan. She's gearing up." "Gearing up?" I snapped my eyes open. "What does that mean?" Garrett hesitated. "She's prepping another video. Bigger one. A part 2. Says she's going to expose the truth about you." I heard her practicing lines in our suite before they left. Practicing lines. My sister rehearsed accusations the way normal people rehearse wedding toasts. "What kind of accusations?" I asked. He took another breath. "She's going to claim you financially abused the family for years. That you controlled everything. That Jace used your info because he was scared of you, not because he wanted money. She's writing this whole thing about you being a narcissist, emotionally manipulative, that you sabotaged them and then abandoned them." He paused. "She has PowerPoints, Nolan. PowerPoints." My sister was building a full presentation to destroy me. I felt something shift in my chest. A slow, steady pressure. Not fear. Not anger. Resolve. Garrett kept talking, softer now. "I know you don't owe me anything. But Savannah, she's dangerous in a way your parents don't get. She believes her own stories. And she's not going to stop until one of you is dead or cancelled. Please, just do something before she drags me into a deposition." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Garrett? Yeah? Send me everything. Every video. Every voice memo. Every date, timestamp, screen recording. Everything you have. I will. Thanks." I hung up before he could say anything else. Then I sat there, in my quiet Denver kitchen, and finally understood something with surgical clarity. This wasn't a story about fraud. It wasn't a story about money. It wasn't even a story about family. It was a story about control. For 32 years, my family controlled me with guilt. For 1 year, Savannah tried to control me with humiliation. For 1 weekend, they tried to control me with fear. And now? I had the truth. Hard. Documented. Undeniable. The kind of truth that doesn't just free you. It detonates everything that tried to own you. I gathered every piece of evidence into one single folder. Paper. Digital. Screenshots. Jace's affidavit. Savannah's scripts. Garrett's footage. Then I sat down. Opened a fresh document. Typed 2 words. Full statement. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was anxious, or overwhelmed, or spiraling into some existential pit. Honestly, all of that would have made sense. No, I stayed awake because for the first time in my life, the power dynamic had flipped so hard it felt like my entire nervous system was rebooting. My whole childhood. They held the leverage. My 20s? They held the guilt. My 30s? They held the narrative. But now I held something they'd never expected. Receipts. Not metaphorical ones. Literal receipts. Screenshots, affidavits, timestamps, videos, handwriting samples, doctored captions, posted lies, private admissions, casino footage, and Savannah's unpublished villain TED Talk drafts. A folder so damning it could have had its own gravity. I spent hours sorting it, like a forensic accountant, but with trauma seasoning. Category A, Identity Fraud. Category B, Medical Emergency Fabrication. Category C, Defamation/doxing. Category D, Conspiracy to commit fraud. Category E, Savannah as evil mastermind. My personal favorite. At one point I stopped, blinked at the screen, and said to the empty room, "Holy hell. My family is a full-time crime ring run by a part-time influencer." By dawn, I had a 39-page master file. Color-coded. Indexed. Crystal clear. Then I did the thing I knew would send shockwaves through every corner of the collapsing little world they'd built around me. I forwarded the entire packet to my lawyer. Subject line, move forward. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. I didn't ask. Just send it. I showered, shaved, put on a clean shirt, made actual breakfast, and headed to work like it was any other Tuesday. I wasn't 3 sips into my office coffee when my lawyer called. Nolan. His voice had that specific tone lawyers get when they're excited but trying to sound professional. I read everything. This is catastrophic. For them, or for me? I asked. He didn't skip a beat. For them. The evidence is airtight. If even half of this goes to the DA, Savannah is looking at multiple felonies. Your parents could face aiding and abetting charges. And Jace, well, he's already halfway in the system. I stared out the window at the snow on the foothills. And if I give the DA all of it? Your sister's influencer career is over, he said. Your parents lose any remaining leverage. The narrative flips instantly. You become the victim, not the villain. And from a legal standpoint, you're practically untouchable. Untouchable. A word nobody in my family had ever used about me, except maybe in the sense of don't bother hugging Nolan, he's too serious. My lawyer continued. But I need to know your intention. Are we pressing charges? Filing civil suits? Issuing cease and desist letters? Moving for restraining orders? Or? He paused. Are you looking for a deal? I swiveled slightly in my chair. What kind of deal? He cleared his throat. A conditional leniency arrangement. Essentially, you choose who we cooperate against, who we don't, and under what terms. The DA will prioritize your preference because you're the primary victim. Ah. So this is where the price of power shows up. I told him I'd call back in an hour. I didn't call back in an hour. Because at 10:53 a.m. something happened that made my lawyer's questions suddenly feel irrelevant. My receptionist poked her head into my office. Nolan, there's someone here to see you. No appointment. I frowned. Who? She shifted uncomfortably. She says she's your sister? I froze. Savannah. Here. At my workplace. In person. The same woman who tried to publicly assassinate me on TikTok. The same woman whose false narrative almost cost me my job. The same woman who storyboarded my destruction like it was a brand deal. I told my receptionist to send her to the conference room. Then I walked there slowly, deliberately, like I was approaching a wild animal known for biting photographers. When I stepped inside, Savannah was standing at the far end of the glass table, arms folded, sunglasses still on indoors like she was protecting herself from accountability radiation. She didn't look smug. She looked scared. Good. That was new. She took off the sunglasses. Her eyes were bloodshot, not from crying. From not sleeping. From stress. From panic. From watching the internet slowly realize that her fundraiser was frozen, her story didn't add up, and her brother, her actual victim, had gone quiet. Nolan, she said. Not bro. Not big brother. Nolan. Weird hearing my real name sound like a surrender. I pulled out a chair and sat. Calm. Cold. Professional. She stayed standing. So, she began, pushing hair behind one ear, I heard you visited Jace. I didn't respond. And he told you things. Still nothing. She swallowed. He's lying. I let the silence hang long enough for her to hear her own heartbeat. She rushed in to fill the quiet. Look, what happened in Tahoe got blown way out of proportion. Nobody meant for it to go that far. Things spiraled. People got emotional. And I panicked. I raised one eyebrow. You panicked 3 weeks before it happened? Her lips parted slightly. Just a flicker. Then she tried again. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. My platform is my job. My income. My whole brand is family dynamics. When you cut us off financially, it made my content feel fake. I needed authenticity. Ah, yes. Authenticity via fraud and emotional terrorism. She kept going, desperate now. Our parents are drowning. Jace is drowning. You're the only one who can fix this. You always have been. I leaned back. There it was. The old script. The familiar hook. The rope they always tried to slip around my neck. You're the only one who can fix this. Except now I had the folder. Now I had the footage. Now I had the truth. I folded my hands. Savannah, I said. I know everything. I have the messages. The drafts. The video. The affidavit. Every piece of the plan. Her face went white. No contour in the world could save that level of shock. I continued. You didn't panic. You plotted. You didn't slip. You strategized. You didn't stumble into a lie. You rehearsed it. She opened her mouth, shut it, opened it again. You're not going to the DA, she said. It wasn't a question. More like a plea wearing the costume of certainty. Why would you think that? I asked gently. Because you're you. Meaning I am the mule. The fixer. The older brother. The family's designated emotional sponge. Meaning, I was supposed to crack. Meaning, I was supposed to save them again. She took a step closer. Nolan, if you go forward with this, my life's over. There it was. Honesty. Finally. I stood slowly, picked up my coat, and walked toward the door. As I reached for the handle, Savannah's voice shook. Please. Don't destroy me. I turned back just enough to meet her eyes. I'm not destroying you, Save. I said quietly. You destroyed yourself. I'm just not cleaning it up this time. Her breath hitched. She looked like gravity had suddenly doubled just for her. And for the first time since childhood, I didn't feel an ounce of guilt. Savannah didn't leave my building right away. I watched from my office window as she stood on the sidewalk below, arms wrapped around herself, pacing tight circles like she was trying to keep the world from collapsing inward. Every few steps she'd stop and glance up at the windows, as if hoping I'd have a sudden change of heart and come running out to tell her everything was fine. But everything wasn't fine. And for the first time in 32 years, that wasn't my problem. I sat back at my desk, closed the blinds, and tried to return to my actual job. But when your sister has just shown up uninvited to beg you not to ruin her life after she attempted to dismantle yours on camera, spreadsheets lose some of their sparkle. At 12:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown caller. Voicemail. Then another. Then another. Then a text from my lawyer. Call me ASAP. I stepped into the hallway, dialed. He answered on the first ring. We have developments, he said. That's lawyer code for brace yourself. All right. What's happening? He took a breath. Your sister just contacted the district attorney's office. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. What did she say? She's claiming the entire Tahoe situation, casino credit attempt, ER visit, GoFundMe, was part of a coordinated plan between you and Jace to extort money from your parents. I laughed. Hard. Actually bent at the waist a little. He didn't. She also submitted a statement alleging you emotionally abused your siblings for years. Financially controlled them. Pressured them into hiding your involvement. And she attached screenshots. Screenshots of what? He hesitated. The counselor notes, from your meeting with Jace. My spine turned to ice. Jace didn't leak those. He couldn't have, he doesn't have access. My lawyer cleared his throat. Savannah does. She called the facility, impersonated an attorney, and requested the preliminary notes citing family reconciliation necessity. The counselor is now filing a report for impersonation of counsel. I pressed a hand against the wall. She broke federal law to get notes on a conversation I was invited to? She did more than that, he said. She edited them. Edited? Yes. She altered the PDF metadata and submitted a version that implied you offered to pay for Jace's rehab only if he created evidence implicating her. My jaw clenched so hard it popped. So she's doubling down. Tripling. He paused. And Nolan, this version is spreading. Someone leaked it to social media accounts that discuss legal cases. The narrative is shifting again. I pulled out my phone. Notifications had turned my screen into a strobe light. TikTok commentary accounts. Reddit threads. Discord channels. Influencer drama pages. New headlines. Engineer brother coerced addict sibling into framing girl boss influencer. Leak notes show Nolan manipulated Jace for legal advantage. Was the Lake Tahoe scandal a setup? And my personal favorite. The brothers' web, Nolan's hidden control issues exposed? I stared at my phone, pulse steady. Somewhere in her collapsing brain, Savannah had made a decision. If she was going down, she was taking me with her. My lawyer continued. We can disprove all of this. Easily. We have originals. We have timestamps. We have signature verifications. But she's moving fast, trying to preempt whatever she thinks you're planning to do. I rubbed my forehead. What about Jace's affidavit? Already secured. Already timestamped by the DA. It's untouchable. Good. But she doesn't know that, he added. She thinks she can still flip the story. And Nolan? She's not done. He was right. Because at 1:07 p.m., my office door opened without a knock. My receptionist stuck her head in, eyes wide, panicked. Nolan, your parents are here. My heart didn't skip a beat. It dropped straight through the earth. I walked into the lobby, every nerve braced. And there they were. My mother, red-eyed, wringing a tissue into pulp. My father, shoulders slumped, looking 20 years older than when we last spoke. Standing in my professional workplace like they were showing up for parent-teacher conferences. The moment my mom saw me, she half sobbed, half scolded. How could you do this to your sister? There it was. The opening bid. I folded my arms. Do what, exactly? Dad stepped forward. Save told us everything. You're trying to frame her. You're setting her up to take the fall so Jace gets a lighter sentence. My laugh was sharp. She impersonated an attorney to steal counselor notes. Mom flinched, but recovered fast. She was desperate. You forced her hand. I blinked slowly. I forced her to scam me? To defame me? To plan a fake emergency months in advance? To weaponize the internet? To ruin my career? Mom shook her head wildly. She's terrified, Nolan. She says you're gathering evidence to destroy her. She says you want her in prison. She's begging us to stop you. Dad's voice cracked. Nolan, you already broke Jace. Don't break her too. Something inside me went still. Very still. And I realized they weren't here to understand. They were here to negotiate my compliance. Mom stepped closer, lowering her voice the way she used to before grounding me. Honey, listen. If you drop whatever you have, if you agree not to press charges or give anything to the DA, Save will apologize. We can fix this. We can fix our family. My jaw tightened. Fix our family? The same family that let Savannah broadcast lies about me to thousands of strangers. The same family that demanded $15,000 at 2 a.m., based on a fake deathbed performance. The same family that sent me 147 messages accusing me of murder. The same family that drained themselves to keep Jace afloat, then blamed me for the fallout. Fix our family is code for sacrifice yourself so we don't have to face consequences. I looked at them, really looked. My mother, terrified not of losing Savannah, but of losing the illusion of a perfect daughter. My father, terrified of being left with the damage he created. And both of them terrified of something else entirely. For the first time, I wasn't saying yes. I slipped my hands into my pockets. I'm not dropping anything. Mom gasped like I'd slapped her. Dad's voice rose, cracking. You're going to send your own sister to prison? I met his eyes. No. I'm not sending her anywhere. She walked there. My mom's tears fell instantly, weaponized and familiar. Nolan, please, we're begging you. I held up a hand. You didn't beg Savannah to stop when she tried to destroy my job. You didn't beg Jace to stop when he stole my identity. You didn't beg yourselves to stop when you lied about him dying. So don't beg me now. Dad's face collapsed. Then Mom whispered the line that told me Part 6 had officially ended. If you go through with this, you're not part of this family anymore. I took a slow breath. Then we finally agree on something. And I walked back to my office, leaving them standing in the lobby frozen. Because the next step didn't involve them. It involved the DA. And Savannah had no idea what was coming. The DA closed the door, set my evidence folder on the table, and steepled her fingers like she was about to deliver a diagnosis. Nolan, she said, we're no longer discussing just identity fraud or defamation. Your sister has escalated this into active witness tampering, evidence fabrication, and impersonation of legal counsel. And there's more. More. Of course there was more. The investigators slid a tablet toward me. We received a tip from a third party this morning. A burner account. Anonymous. But the data is clean. They sent us Savannah's content planning calendar. I scrolled. Color-coded boxes. Deadlines. Scripts. And 3 upcoming uploads. Exposing my dangerous brother. How I survived 10 years of financial abuse. The truth about Lake Tahoe, the system failed us. All scheduled. All ready. All lies. The DA continued. She's preparing to go public again, bigger. She intends to undermine any legal case by shaping public perception before charges are filed. I sat back. She was trying to pre-cancel the prosecution. The prosecutor leaned forward. We need your decision. Full cooperation triggers immediate subpoenas and charges. If you want leniency for your family, we adjust accordingly. But Savannah has crossed a line we cannot ignore. Silence settled over the room like dust. My whole life, decisions were made for me. Fix this, Nolan. Pay this, Nolan. Carry this, Nolan. Be strong, Nolan. For the first time, the choice was mine, and it actually mattered. I took a breath. Move forward, I said. The words felt like snapping the last link of a chain. The DA nodded once. Understood. You should also know, we interviewed Jace again this morning. He confirmed everything in his affidavit. And he asked if you'd decided about his treatment. I closed my eyes for a moment. Then, I'll pay for the rehab. Directly. Under a repayment contract. No cash to him. They all nodded, professionally, but approvingly. It wasn't mercy. It wasn't guilt. It was structure. The one thing he'd never been given. By the time I left the building, subpoenas were already being drafted. Investigators assigned. Digital forensics digging through Savannah's production files. The content calendar seized as evidence. The fake counselor notes classified as tampering. And Savannah? She must have sensed the shift, because at 5:41 p.m. she sent one single text. Please don't do this. No caps. No punctuation. No performance. Just fear. I didn't reply. 2 days later, her accounts went dark, wiped clean. Her GoFundMe page replaced with a fraud notice. The family group chat imploded. My parents left me 3 voicemails so frantic they barely formed words. The next morning, the DA officially charged Savannah with conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft participation, defamation, impersonation of counsel, evidence tampering, attempted witness manipulation. Her influencer career didn't just end. It evaporated. Jace entered rehab 3 days after his hearing. He signed the repayment contract without making eye contact, but his voice didn't shake when he said thank you. My parents haven't spoken to me since. I expected heartbreak. Instead, I got quiet. A clean kind of quiet. Turns out, when you stop letting people drown you, their absence feels a lot like air. So here's the final update. My brother is in treatment. My sister is facing consequences she choreographed herself. My parents are furious, homeless, and out of excuses. And me? I'm free. For the first time in 32 years, I'm actually, finally, completely free. And you know what? It's shockingly peaceful.